Welcome, everybody, to episode 170 of the effing title. I am Big Husky, and this is a photo of DeNutte. Because we are the professionals that we are, we completely forgot that it was Easter weekend. So we planned everything, had everything fully planned out, and then I hit him up this morning and was like, hey, because today's Easter, by the way. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter. I was like, hey, I forgot that it's Easter. Are you busy? And he's like, yes, I am busy. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you might have to do it solo. I was like, oh, okay. So, it's just me. Hopefully everyone's having a great week, a good Easter, right? If you celebrate Easter, if you don't celebrate Easter, well, that's okay too. Hopefully you're just having a good weekend then. Massive news for the people that do watch this and listen to this. We are, and by we, I mean me, I am now officially, as of Friday, a part of the YouTube Partner Program. So you could potentially be seeing some new stuff here and potentially be seeing some different stuff than what we're kind of used to, depending on how the analytics work and all that sort of stuff. But with all that, there's all sorts of cool perks that we're going to have now moving forward. But that's not what I want to talk about today, because it is just me, right? I just want to ramble my mouth a little bit, right? I want to, as I've stated many a time before, no matter what, every single week there will be a podcast. I've said that since day one, and I've kept that since I started doing the podcast again. So with that being said, this week we will be talking about the XFL, as I'm wearing my brand new Seattle Battlehawks t-shirt. By the way, very nice t-shirt. Very comfortable shirt, and also, well, I'm a big dude, right? I'm a 3XL. Look at this. Look at that. This goes all the way down here on me, right? There's my waist. Look at that. Bam. Difference. So, one, solid shirt, first of all. So, it is literally 10:30. The game's just ended. This is how dedicated I am for you guys, as I wanted to do this as the game's fully finished so we could talk about the games this weekend. Because we are wrapping down the XFL season. It has been a wild ride. It is week 8 has just concluded. There's 10 weeks. If I do remember correctly, I'm going to look at that right now. Yes, there are 10 weeks total. Then we go to divisional championships. Then we go to the championship. So with that being said, let's talk about the first game this weekend. We had the Vegas Vipers versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, my Battlehawks. AJ McCarron was hurt this week. He did not travel with the team, which meant Nick Tiano, hopefully I'm saying that right, got to start this week. You can tell the offense looked a little bit different with him in there versus AJ McCarron. Obviously, right, AJ is a ex-NFL player, one of the best players come out of Alabama, right? But still, Battlehawks did what they needed to do on all 3 phases of the game, right? Defense at the very beginning of the game looked kind of rough, right? Allowing a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion at the very beginning of the game, and then a field goal, and then throughout the rest of the game only allowed, I think it was another touchdown, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was a touchdown. Pass Matavius Bryant, and the touchdown was incomplete. Wait, hold on a second. Am I looking at the right thing? I may not be looking at the right thing. Anyways, solid game overall. It's nice seeing Vegas actually be able to move the ball and do things now. The one thing, me and Rob have talked about this before with this, and with a lot of these spring leagues, the main thing that the spring leagues we feel like struggle with is finding a quarterback, which obviously the main NFL teams struggle with that, college teams struggle with that, but we see it a lot in the spring leagues where everything needs to go through them, and we're seeing it. But it's cool to see as the season has gone on, certain teams are finding that guy. Jalen McClendon is that guy for the Vipers, I do believe. Since he's been in, they have been playing very well. He has looked very well. The team looks to be a little bit more explosive with him in. He can move the ball. He had 13 carries for 62 yards. Their main back, Rod Smith, had 13 carries for 51 yards. So they're doing their thing, right? Martavius Bryant only had one catch, but was targeted 3 times, right? So it's one of those things. They played very well. They played very well. At the end of the day, Seattle started to get that comeback juice going, right? They got a big fourth quarter touchdown. I do believe. Was it a touchdown? No, it was not. It was a field goal. That's right. It was a field goal by Hagman. Hagman with the field goal. They brought it into overtime, our very first ever overtime in the XFL, which is absolutely insane. We also saw a fake punt that went 64 yards for a touchdown. Fake punt pass. Just an like when I was watching it and I saw that happen, I lost my mind. Could not believe it that they actually pulled it off. And then, you have Hakeem Butler doing Hakeem Butler things, right? Hakeem Butler has been one of the better receivers in the XFL this season. Took it to overtime. Overtime is different in the XFL. A lot of things are different in the XFL, but overtime is massively different in the XFL. You're at the 5-yard line. You get 3 tries. 1 play. It's shootout style. Boom, 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 boom. Going back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So it is massive. It is so much fun. It is electric. It is fun to watch because it's literally 1 play. So it's interesting to see, and me and Rob had talked about this. Rob's one of the main people I talked about the XFL with. It was interesting, and we'll talk about this one in one of the later ones as well, seeing overtime and seeing the creativity of coaches versus the not creativity of coaches, right? But St. Louis wins. St. Louis goes to 6-2. The Vipers have been eliminated. They're at 2-6. Then you go on to the second game of the day on Saturday. We had the Arlington Renegades versus the Orlando Guardians, and Jesus Christ, this was a the Renegades basically did everything possible to lose this game. That's the easiest way of wording this. They did everything possible to lose this game. Louis Perez comes in as their new quarterback. They traded for him. He went 16-25 for 190 yards. He looked okay. Louis Perez has been around the spring leagues his entire career. Basically, that's where he made a name for himself. And he's been doing okay. He's been doing okay for himself. I think that Arlington could be the spot for him. He just needs to settle down and start figuring shit out. Devon, Jesus Christ. Devon Smith, the running back, 13 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. LeJuan Winningham had 2 catches for 62 yards on 5 targets. He is a absolute stud. He is a stud out there, and it was fun. It was fun watching him. It's always fun watching him play. He may have the single best catch of the entire year so far. But they came out on top over the Guardians. The Guardians have been struggling to do stuff. However, the interesting thing with the Guardians is they just barely started to get their shit going. The Guardians are finally now eliminated from the playoffs at 1-7. The Renegades are 4-4. Quinton Dormandy is their quarterback now. Dormandy had 5 turnovers, I do believe. He had 2 interceptions, and he threw for 300 yards. I'm pretty sure he fumbled the ball 3 times, and he lost the ball 3 times. They had 5 turnovers. This was a 18-16 ball game, everyone. 18-16 ball game. And Orlando turned the ball over 5 times. Orlando needs to figure that shit out because this is a team that very easily could be competing. We saw them because they beat DC. They beat the best team in the entire NFL with Dormandy at the quarterback, right? We've seen them do things. We've seen them do well. It's just that they need to figure their shit out. Because I'll tell you what, sometimes the play calling looks absolutely atrocious. Overall, though, I love what they're doing right now with Eli Rogers and Cody Lattimore, 2 very experienced guys, right? Big names in college football. Didn't translate well to the NFL. Lattimore had a little bit more success than Eli Rogers did. But still, Rogers had 10 catches for 135. Lattimore had 7 catches for 70. You can't complain about that, man. You can't complain about that. You can't have a quarterback that has 2 turnovers, has 2 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. I mean, DeNutte's shocked. Look at it. Look at the face. Look at the face on the dude, right? On the homie, on the man, on the DeNutte, right? Look at the face, right? So, Defensively, Matt Elam is playing very well. It's, as a Raven fan, it's kind of cool seeing him do well in the XFL, because it's one of those things where, like, I knew he was he was put in a tough situation coming in, being like, hey, you got to replace Ed Reed. Have fun. Didn't matter what the dude was going to do. He was never going to be able to replace Ed Reed. Watching him play in the XFL, he's doing very well right now this season, and he's playing at a high level right now. Don't worry, this is not coffee, this is tea. Wow, that tastes really good. Moving on, Sunday, today, the first game of the day today, we had the Houston Roughnecks versus the San Antonio Brahmas. This game upset me so much. The Roughnecks played both Brandon Silvers and Cole McDonald again. Still not sure what they're doing there with that. Right, they're having some success with it, going back between the two of them. However, I would love to see them just pick one guy, and I personally think Cole McDonald works better. Running wise, they're not a running team. But then also, to be honest with you, looking at the stats right here, which probably aren't fully updated, by the way, it says that they had 25 yards rushing. So I'm pretty sure these stats are not up to date, because that does not seem right. Or maybe it is. Who knows? This game was a 17-15 game to Houston. This one also went into overtime. And this is the game that really infuriated me, because as the game went on, you could see that they were starting to get it going. They were starting to do the thing. Jack Cohn is back. Jack Cohn threw the ball 41 times and completed 23 of them, for a long of 22 yards, by the way. Now, Houston does bring pressure, so it's one of those things. However, it was funny listening to Hines Ward on the sidelines being like, why are we getting sacked on quick game? And it wasn't like a normal, like, just like, oh yeah, we got sacked. It was like a delayed come around stunt sack on quick game. They need to figure their shit out, because not only that, they're also running, they get into overtime and they're running freaking fade through two of the three times. So when, like I said, in overtime, it's best of three. It's penalty shootout from the 5-yard line. 2 of the 3 times they did it, they ran fade. And they were bad balls. They were bad balls, man. But it was one of those things where it's like, they're running fade. Like, this is one of the things me and Rob were talking about, and I was saying about earlier that I wanted to bring up. When it gets to this point of the game, you need to bring out the plays that you never run, or this straight up solid plays. I think fade is not creative. It's not solid. It's a jump ball, right? Some sort of slam where you can get some sort of rubber action. Beautiful, right? We saw that happen. We saw that a lot happen today for the overtimes, or this weekend for the overtimes, and it worked, right? Rob was saying about reverse halfback pass, just something that's different, right? That you wouldn't necessarily fully plan for, and I agree with him. Overall, though, this is one of those games where Houston's 5-3. I'm pretty sure if I look at the standings real quick, yep, Houston has fully clinched a playoff berth, or championship berth, I should say. So that's one thing. San Antonio, I feel like, is still figuring stuff out. San Antonio's defense is very fun to watch. San Antonio's defense has a lot of fun parts moving around. A lot of guys you probably have never heard of before. Jordan Williams, Sean Williams, Jack Horner, Drew Beasley, Tenny Adewusi, right? Anthony Texada, but they're all playing very well, and it's fun to watch this defense play. That's the other thing, is it's fun watching this defense play, which it makes sense. The defense is being run by Hines Ward and Joey Porter. I would hope that it would be fun to watch, right? And then moving on to the game that just ended, DC versus Seattle, 34-33. This is just two of the best teams playing. Seattle trying to tie up the North, and I'll go over that here in a second. Jordan Ta'amu lighting it up. 17 for 26 for 247 yards and 4 touchdowns. in the air. And then he also had 8 carries for 13 yards. Abraham Smith has to see a roster spot this year at some point. At the end of the season, I feel like he's one of the guys. I'm going to go over a couple guys I think that will. He's one of them that I think will. He was a linebacker that converted to running back, so his resume wasn't really there, right? People didn't know what his resume was. Now seeing him do what he's doing in the XFL, I feel like he's definitely going to get a shot. Someone's going to take a shot at him, and he's going to prove them right. And then receiving wise, you have Chris Blair, 5 catches for 148. Like, it's like they were very explosive. DC was very explosive. And then you go to the other side, it's with Seattle, and Seattle was doing their thing too, right? Ben DeNutte, 28 for 42. Yes, he threw the ball 42 times, 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The fun thing to watch with Seattle was the fact that Philip Lindsay, the running back from Colorado that then went to Denver, that then bounced around a bunch of different teams, he is now on the team. And watching him run was very interesting because you could tell there was a different style of running versus the other backs in the XFL, which I thought was very interesting to see. And then you had Juwan Green explode onto the scene today. 7 catches, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Gordon's one of those guys that you kind of miss with this team, especially with them being 4 wide, 3 wide a lot, passing the ball a lot. Gordon isn't always the target, and when he is like this, it was 4 catches for 39 yards. He was targeted 8 times, But yeah, there was Jacor Pearson, another guy I think that potentially we could see on a roster in the NFL this fall. 5 catches for 34 yards, targeted 8 times as well. So. But this game was a lot of fun. I noticed myself watching the defense more. The defense in the running back game more. DC is known to run. Seattle is known to pass. So it was interesting to see DC throwing the ball a lot more this game, but still doing their thing, and just both defenses playing lights out. DJ Swearinger actually played today. I was wondering about that afterwards. I said he had 3 tackles, which is kind of cool. Seeing a lot more of these guys that have been in the NFL, names in the NFL, coming into XFL because they want to play. They want to have some, they want to play. The defense for DC is Greg Williams. That's the DC. So they're bringing a lot of pressure, and they brought a lot of pressure today. The game ended with what I'm going to say, and eventually I'll talk to Rob about this at some point. The final play of the game was a 2-point conversion. So in the XFL, when you score, you either go for 1, 2, or 3. 1 point is from the 2-yard line. 1 point is from the 2. 1 point is from the 2. 2 points from the 5. 3 points is from the 10. So Seattle scored to make it 34-33, and they went for the win. They went for 2. And they went with a pistol naked run the defense didn't fall for. And then they went for on 4th and 15 instead of the onside kick. And they didn't convert that, and that was how the game ended. And it goes back to having certain plays for certain situations. I think that was I think that was just a terrible play altogether. I would have loved to have seen some sort of either RPO, a read option with a. Personally, I would have ran like a bubble, like a arc motion, bubble motion, whatever you want to call it, going around fucking back. Read option here with him running out as a pass option too. So it's either run, I keep, or I throw it out. That's what I would have done in that situation. And it's something that I feel like they probably have, or something similar to that in their playbook. Something like that, something that they're not ready for, something that they probably haven't seen yet, right? But DC comes out, DC showing that they are the best team in the XFL. They're 7-1, Seattle is 5-3. So looking at standings, we'll look at the South first because the South is a shit show. The Roughnecks are 5-3, Renegades are 4-4, and the Brahmas are 2-6. The Brahmas, I do believe, have not been eliminated. The Brahmas are 2-6 and have not been eliminated, because if they win the next 2 and Arlington loses the next 2, they're both 4-6. So a little bit of interesting there. Houston is locked it up already. They're 5-3, so they've already locked it. Then you go to the North. The North is very interesting because you have DC at 7-1, St. Louis at 6-2, and Seattle at 5-3. So DC has clinched. Now it's a battle between DC and or Seattle and St. Louis, or Seattle and St. Louis. And next week we play each other. And those are me and Rob's teams, by the way. So that will be fun. For people that haven't watched the XFL, I kind of suggest it a lot now these days. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the XFL is a lot of fun. It's football during the spring, but it's not a terrible product. Genuinely, it's not a terrible product. The biggest issue, and this is, like I said, this is one thing that we've talked about multiple times, me and Rob have, is it comes down to quarterback play and how you can sell it, right? AJ McCarron is selling it. Jordan Thomas is selling it. Ben DeNutte right now is selling it. But then you look at those three guys, all three of them have something in common. They all have played on NFL rosters, right? You get guys like Louis Perez, Jack Cohn, Drew Plitt, right? Some of these guys who have not played on an NFL roster, be it they're getting shots here, right? But players that I think could potentially see an NFL roster spot this fall. I wouldn't be surprised if Tomu gets another one. I wouldn't be surprised if Ben DeNutte gets one. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ McCarron gets one, but AJ turns it down because he wants to play for the XFL. That's something that he has stated multiple times, that he could be making more money as a backup, but instead he wants to play for the XFL. So those are the three main ones that I think. It was interesting to see these guys, Ben DeNutte, Jordan Tomu, and AJ McCarron, are all just names. They all are names. They've all played. A lot of these other guys are new and upcoming guys that are still trying to build their name. So it's interesting to see if the XFL will make players out of these guys, or if the XFL will continue to be a home for the players that couldn't fully make it into the NFL. Then you go to rushing. Rushing, Abraham Smith, the running back for DC, like I said, I think that he gets a shot. It's almost impossible, I think, for him not to get a shot. He has 138 carries for 720 yards. He's averaging 5 yards a carry, and he has 7 touchdowns. He is explosive. He is violent. He is what you are looking for in a running back. There's a couple of other ones that potentially could see roster spots, but then, like, maybe not keep them. Brian Hill, I think, is one that potentially could. He is a multi-purpose back. He can run and he can catch. He has 400 yards rushing on 83 carries. I'm not sure what his receiving stats are like, but other than those two, really, everyone else are kind of gimmicky or just like, you have the first two. Abraham Smith's at 700. Brian Hill's at 400. Then you go 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So it's very much condensed. I feel like those two right there are above all the rest. Jacquizz Patrick, the running back for San Antonio, is a powerhouse. Just a little bowling ball. So other than him, maybe Rod Smith, the running back from the Vipers. And of course, like I said earlier, Philip Lindsay is now in the XFL. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him making a return to the NFL after playing here. Receiving is the interesting one because I think that receiving-wise, the XFL is going to produce a couple names. I genuinely do. Ja'Cour Pearson, wide receiver from Seattle. He has 50 catches for 500 yards. Cody Lattimore, who played in the NFL on a Super Bowl roster, he has 47 catches for 550. Hakeem Butler, I'm pretty sure, leads the league in touchdowns with 6, right? Blake Jackson, Cedric Byrd, Jeff Badett, Lucky Jackson, maybe even Josh Gordon, but I really doubt that one. There's a lot of guys here that I think could make it onto a practice squad, make it onto a roster as one of the last guys, a special team guy, someone that's just going to come in and bust their ass, like that sort of thing. Those are some of them. Chris Blair, Lucky Jackson, a couple other ones, Blake Jackson, Darius Shepard. Most teams, one or twos, I feel like could make it. So it's going to be interesting to see from there. Tackle-wise, we have Jordan Williams leading the league with 71. He's a linebacker from San Antonio. The team is coached by the old Steelers. Makes sense. Donald Payne has 61. And then you go from there. Then you kind of fall off a little bit. So I think defense is going to be a little bit more difficult to see some of these guys. Like, it's not a real stat thing. It's more of a way that they play. Jordan Williams, Donald Payne, I could easily see potentially getting back in. Willie Harvey is a edge rusher. Could see him getting back. Will Hill, the D-back, potentially, but I don't know on that one. And then interceptions is kind of wild because we have a guy with 5 interceptions. We have 5 and 4. Boom, boom. So we're seeing. It's funny because we're seeing interceptions from people, but it's not to the same person. It's to a lot of different people, which is kind of cool to see. But Johnny Harris, the DB from Houston, has 5. No touchdowns off of him, but he has 5. Michael Joseph, the DB from DC, has 4, but he's taken both of them to the. He's taken 2 of them to the house. So, overall, very interesting to see a lot of this stuff. And then special team wise, I genuinely don't think that you can. No matter what, some of these kickers will get shots, right? Because every team that doesn't have like a guaranteed kicker, this dude will make every field goal. They're looking for kickers. Every single year we're seeing teams looking for kickers. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Parker Romo, the kicker out of San Antonio, is fantastic. Donald Hagman, the kicker for the Battlehawks, fantastic. To say the least, those are kind of the two that I like the most right now, I would say. With Parker Romo, though, being the guy right now for the XFL. He's hit a 57 long. Hagman's hit a 59 long. So you gotta worry for some of these guys when it's like they're 6 for 13, and their long is 40. Like, you gotta worry about some of those guys. So the final thing I'm going to get into with XFL is the future. What do I see for the future of the XFL? Because, of course, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the XFL right now. I genuinely think it's going to be interesting to see what happens between Season 1 and Season 2 of the XFL. Players leaving, players going to NFL teams, and then potentially coming back. Whether they're going to do a second draft, I really hope that they don't. They're probably going to, but I really hope that they don't do a draft, because it's awkward when you do a draft and then suddenly those players aren't coming to your teams. Look at the USFL. They did that. They had some teams drafting players, and they're like, no, I'm gonna get drafted into the NFL. So, thanks, no thanks. And then the second thing I'm interested to see, and I genuinely think this would be a smart thing. And this is just me being me. You guys can all chime in as well. I think they should add 5 more teams. Oh, not 5 more teams, sorry. They should add 1 more team to each division, so it's 5 teams total in each division. 10 teams total. I think that would be fantastic, because then what you can do is you can have 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, 1 game on either Friday, Thursday, or Monday. And I think that would boost up revenue of it. It would make more awareness for it. You could have more people, which sometimes can dilute the product, but also gives more people an opportunity, right? And if you can get a couple more names like AJ McCarron, like, guys like that, Aaron Murray to come back, guys like that, right? Go try and get like Joe Flacco or something something like that. Get some guys in the league that would just they just want to keep playing football. That's all it is. That's all they want to do, is they just want to keep playing. I think that'd be solid. I think that'd be really cool to see. I think that they were smart going to St. Louis. I think they were dumb going to Vegas. Vegas has only averaged like 6,000 in attendance. So here's my 3. Here's my 3 for where they should put a team. I'm going to go 4. Here's my 4. The first one is Oakland. I would love to see a team go back into Oakland, have the colors be white and gold, so it's the reverse of what the Raiders were. I think that'd be hilarious, first off, to do that. But then 2, I think that'd just be perfect, because the Oakland fan base was one of the best fan bases. If you give them an XFL team, that place is going to go fucking haywire, right? So that's my first place. Second place is San Diego. Yes, you're seeing a theme here. Both these places have had fan bases that were ripped away from them. Put a team back there in the XFL, and you will see people come to those games. It's going to be guaranteed, right? So those 2 are those first 2. The next 2 are kind of... One of them is Rob's. One of them is just a thing that I think. So I'm going to go with mine first. New York. I think a New York team would be solid. They used to be the New York Guardians. I don't understand why there isn't one in New York. It's just a big name, big play, big name, big city. Easy, should be easy revenue. Should be, but I digress. The final one, and this is an interesting one that Rob said about, and I thought about it, and I really like it, is in the Dakotas. Put a team up there in the Dakotas. That would be cool. I think that would be awesome, because you would have people coming from both Dakotas to come see those games. I feel like it would be different. It would be a new thing for them up there, right? Getting a team in there that is a Dakotas team. And that would be, I think that would be solid. I like that idea. But that's my thing. I think there should be 10 teams total. I think it would add some more players. It would add some more places. It would add some more faces, right? Me and Rob have talked about it. Cam Newton should go to the XFL. Cam Newton wants to keep running his mouth about how he's better than these people, or he should be a backup for these people. Go to the XFL and prove it, man. Because right now you're one of those randos that we don't know if you can play. Go to the XFL. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen there? You're going to go there and you're going to play bad. Okay, it's better than the way that everyone already feels about you anyway. Go there. It's going to boost your ratings because now eyes are on you, which is what you want. The eyes on you. And it brings people's eyes to the XFL. It's a win-win situation at the end of the day, right? So that's my thing. I think that's what the future should look like, is that it should be 10 teams. Is it going to be? Who knows? The final talking points before my throat really starts hurting. The tea was a smart choice, by the way, tonight. This is my final thing. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think it's either this week or next week. Because the USFL starts. So the USFL will be starting their season when the XFL is finishing their season. So you're going to have the beginning of one season versus the playoffs of another. And there are games that will be overlapping. I checked because I wanted to see. Because I'm a Michigan Panthers fan. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see. Because I genuinely don't believe both of them will be able to survive. One of them will fade. One of them is backed by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. One of them has had a fantastic first season. One of them has multi-year deals with Under Armour, the NFLPA, and ESPN. Just saying. I don't think the USFL will continue for much longer. But that could also be a good thing because then those players can go to the XFL. And then it makes the teams a little bit stronger because now there's more talent that have been playing spring league ball. So overall, it could be a better boost for the entire league. But who knows? We'll find out as time continues, right? We'll find out next time on Dragon Ball, as we say. But I want to know what you guys think. What are you guys' thoughts of the XFL? You guys enjoying the XFL as much as I am? I've been really enjoying the XFL. It's been nice. It's been fun seeing these players that I've known in the past coming back and actually doing well, like Hakeem Butler, like Cody Lattimore. And then there's some new guys even. Carson Wells, the end for the Battlehawks, right? Rose, linebacker for the Battlehawks. I've been really enjoying this. Really enjoying it. So let me know what you guys have been thinking down in the comments down below. I hope you all have had a great Easter, great weekend, a great week. If you thought the me getting YouTube partner was the beginning or the end of kind of where we're going as the Husky Kingdom, right? I hate to tell you this, but we're just getting started. Wait to see what we got coming up next, because I didn't even realize this could be possible. And as always, depending on where you are, morning, afternoon, even night, stay safe, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.